Today is a massive week for Manchester United. The Times, Mike Keegan has said a preferred bidder for the takeover will be named this week, and this is massive because then United can finally get on with their transfer business. We've got an update on Kim Min Jae and Mason Mount coming in from Fabrizio Romano today. United goalkeeper target David Raya set to go to Tottenham Hotspur. Could they be left with Pickford? No. Among news that Jadon Sancho could potentially be leaving, and Tottenham preparing a 50 million move for Sancho. I know what you mean. Also an interesting story coming in that Ten Hag has spoken to every Man United player, had a heart-to-heart with them and told them if they're in his plans or not, what their future might entail. So Maguire, you're not wanted, please leave. But before we get into that, I want to get into the takeover news. There is a rumour going around that the Qatar deal is already done, that the Qatar deal is secretly done, that Qatar are the favourites, Qatar are the front runners, Qatar are going to be named as the preferred bidder, and it's done. Because someone on Twitter, and there's multiple accounts, so I'm not just going to name one, there's 4 or 5 accounts on Twitter that have no real sources, that are just random people in their bedroom that have never touched grass. They'll tweet and speculate Qatar is done. Potentially something could be done for Qatar, but it's a 50-50. No one other than the small people in the Glazers circle knows if it's Qatar, if it's Sir Jim. It's a 50-50. No decision's been done yet. Nothing has been done yet. When something is done, Mike Keegan, The Times, The Athletic, David Ornstein, they will all come out and say it. Romano will come out and say it. Just because this Twitter account that claims he has sources coming out and saying stuff, he doesn't. So everyone's saying, oh my God, Qatar's done. I've seen people celebrating on Twitter, Qatar are the favourites, Qatar's done. Qatar might be the favourites, Qatar might be done, but that source is taking a 50-50 guess. So there's a 50% chance that source is wrong, there's a 50% chance that source is right. So I just want to clarify that because there's so many ITK fake accounts who claim they have sources saying, I've heard Qatar's done. Qatar might be done, but you've not heard that. You don't have genuine sources. It's a 50-50. You're guessing that Qatar is done. Now, yeah, it's right to have a gut feeling that Qatar's in the lead and Qatar's the front runners. I said that in my video yesterday. I said, it's interesting that, Sir Jim has been in these talks for weeks and weeks. And then the week Qatar enter these talks, they're going to name a preferred bidder this week. I said, that's interesting. It's interesting that the Glazers, when they were in talks, because they were so happy with Sir Jim's bid with PSG to get Qatar to up the bid, says to me, oh, maybe the Glazers want more from Qatar. I think the fact that Qatar put this big bid in, threatened to walk away and said, you're no longer using Sir Jim Ratcliffe as a pawn to make us bid anything higher, the Glazers like, okay. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Glazers are starting to go towards Qatar. They get more money up front, it's 100% of the club, they don't have to rely on debts and loans and everything to go through, it's a quicker deal to do. The siblings want completely out of United. Qatar does that. Do Joe and Avram? That's the question. And the reliable Mike Keegan said, at the end of the day, the Qataris feel a lot more confident. 3 days ago, they thought they're out of the race. Now they think it's in it. You still got to remember, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's been leading that race for so long. Could they be using Qatar to get a little bit more out of Sir Jim? Potentially. There's so many ways you can look at it. But at the end of the day, Qatar sources said, and this has come from genuine sources, not ITK, potentially they know things, this decision comes down because there's so little between Sir Jim and Qatar's bid now. This decision comes down to whether the Glazers want to have a small stake in United or just completely go and leave the club. Hopefully it's option 2 because they know how the fans feel, but they might take option 1 and it's a 50-50. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm hoping for Qatar. I thought that if you'd asked me a week ago, I would have been 80% confident Sir Jim. It's 50-50 now. Maybe my gut tells me it's Qatar. My heart wants Qatar. My head says Sir Jim. There's so many ways we can look at it. I think there's not much between it. And both are basically in those advanced talks getting everything done. So when the Glazers make the decision, they can sign it off. Maybe they're waiting for something from Qatar. Maybe they're waiting for something from Sir Jim. But the preferred bidder apparently will be named this week and we should have some clarity on that. But that is enough of the takeover news. Let's get into the transfer news today. We're going to start with the Kim Min Jae story. And this came out from a reliable source. All the Italian sources keep saying it's done, but we can't quite trust them quite yet. But this was said by a reliable source that Kim Min Jae remains Manchester United's top priority. However, negotiations with the player have made little progress in recent weeks. Newcastle passed the seconds these last weeks, and PSG and Chelsea have also denied him. So he's saying United, Newcastle, PSG and Chelsea are interested in Kim Min Jae. I don't think Chelsea stand much of a chance just because of their situation of last season. But it's between United, Newcastle and PSG for Kim Min Jae. Now reportedly, United are looking at Kim Min Jae, United like Kim Min Jae, but they've not done anything, they've not pursued this deal. And they've probably not pursued this deal because they're focusing on the takeover and ownership. If they're too slow on pursuing this deal, it's very likely they lose him to Napoli, they lose him to PSG. But it is said United like Kim Min Jae, and it has been reported that Kim Min Jae's ideal destination is the Premier League and that he prefers United over Newcastle. And that is said by reliable sources. He was probably a fan of Ji-sung Park. He's probably a fan of Manchester United. And I think Manchester United can very much lead that Kim Min Jae race. But I think it's very much down to if United are sorting their stuff out. United need to sort their stuff out. They need to sort this takeover out to do anything. Because, you know, he's not even our priority signing. Mason Mount is the deal we're trying to work on doing now. And it said we're going to delay that. And do you know what makes me laugh? As I said 2 weeks ago that Man United were going to get 2 signings in really early in June. Believe it when I see it. Believe it when I see it, because you haven't even announced the takeover yet. We should be announced this week, but you still don't know. So what was said on Mason Mount? Because Fabrizio Romano did give an update on Mason Mount, and this is what he said. He said Chelsea keep asking for 80 million euros, so 70 million pounds for Mount, which is why nothing has progressed, but it's not over. United have no intention to pay that for the player who can leave on a free next year. Mason is keen for the move. And Romano's basically saying, look, United want Mount, it's not over, but United aren't going to pay this ridiculous fee that Chelsea want. You know that personal terms between Mount and Manchester United won't be a problem. It's pretty much been agreed in principle, and Mason Mount wants to come to United. He wants to come. United want him, but it seems to be very much a waiting game to see if Chelsea lower the asking price. What I like about Romano is he said United aren't going to pay that £70 million that Chelsea want. United should say he's got 1 year left on his contract. I'm not paying more than £50 million. We'll come get him next season if worst comes to worst. Because at the end of the day, is Mason Mount the marquee signing for me? Is he someone that we have to get this season? No. Is he someone that improves us? Yes. Is he someone that Ten Hag wants? Yes. But if someone said, you know, wait 1 year and get Mason Mount on a free, surely that would be better for United to do, and then they could use that £50 million elsewhere, help towards a Moises Caicedo deal or a better midfield player, in my opinion. I think United should very much consider the option of actually saying to Chelsea, we'll come back next season and get him on a free then, because he's not marquee. We're not paying more than 50 million, and play hardball with Chelsea. Chelsea know that United are idiots in the transfer market. 80 million for Anthony, 80 million for Harry Maguire. Chelsea know we're absolute fools in the transfer market. So Chelsea are going to try and milk us a base amount. I tell you what, if this was Man City coming along, they would probably be a done deal for £40 million. But they know it's Manchester United, and we need to not fall for this. We need to walk away and go, you know what, there's other options out there. Because there are other options out there, better options in my opinion. I don't think Mount is the be all and end all. I think he's a good player. If Ten Hag wants him, get him, but don't make him this, oh, let's waste the whole window on him. He's not Frankie de Jong. Let's move on. Talking of other news, obviously David Raya close to agreeing personal terms with Tottenham Hotspur. That could be a big loss for United. Also, the Anderlecht keeper they were looking at close to going to Brighton, which only really leaves United with Diogo Costa as a realistic option. Obviously, Onana would be nice, but again, it said that he could be going to Chelsea. So, you know, United, I think, will stick with Dave, get Pickford, or pay 65 million for Diogo Costa, who seems to be very out of budget. However, it was said on the Diogo Costa case that Porto need to sell him, and that £65 million price tag could potentially be lowered to £50 million. And to be honest, I'd rather spend £50 million on Diogo Costa than Mason Mount, in my opinion. But for United to spend this summer, they're going to have to raise funds. They want Maguire sold, McTominay sold, Henderson sold, Bailly, Telles, Williams sold. But another player that could be sold is Jadon Sancho. Now, I am going to clarify, this has come out from the Daily Star. This hasn't come out from a reliable source. There's a few semi-reliable but not particularly reliable sources coming out pretty much saying, you know, Sancho could be sold for 50 to 60 million. If United get an offer in the region of 50 to 60 million, they will sell Sancho. And to be fair, we paid 72 million for him. I think if you do get over 50 million for him and Ten Hag's not super keen, then yeah, I would sell him. I still think there's a top player in Sancho. I still think he could come and explode next season and be fantastic. But yeah, I am losing patience. And if Ten Hag isn't too keen on Sancho, then and he's going to get 50, 60 million to sell him, then potentially that's something that United should do. But if we do sell Sancho, we're going to need to sign a winger. We already need 2 strikers. If we sell Sancho, we're going to need to sign a winger. Now, it was said today by the Daily Star. Remember, this is the Daily Star, so I think Sancho will be sold if we get a lot of money, but I don't think Tottenham are going to offer a lot of the money. But they said Tottenham Hotspur said to be considering making an attempt to sign Jadon Sancho this summer. They're willing to bid not more than £50 million for the Englishman. So Tottenham would maybe put 45 million in for Sancho, but Man United want at least £50 million. It's one to keep an eye on, but I don't think there's much in this deal. Now, to end this video, I think Sancho will stay. Hopefully Maguire will go. Ten Hag wants Maguire to go. Ten Hag wants a lot of players out so he can get the players he wants in. Now, as said by Jamie Jackson just now, don't believe all these Twitter rumours. It's a 50-50 between Qatar and Sir Jim. Nobody knows quite yet, but with reports of Pep leaving City in 2 years, United could restore their dominance if they get maybe Qatari owners. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. I will either be live at 7 PM tonight or there'll be a video. I'm out all day. I've got a really busy day, so it just depends how much time I've got. So yeah, see you later. Bye.